U.S. President Joe Biden has withdrawn his re-election bid, leaving the Democrats with an onerous task of finding a replacement with enough temerity to match Donald Trump's sagacity. Now, the announcement on Sunday by President Trump came amid mounting pressure from his fellow Democrats, with more than 30 Congress members publicly pushing for his exit. Biden said he will remain in his role as president and commander-in-chief until his term ends in January of 2025 and will address the nation this week. His initial statement did not include an endorsement of Vice President Kamala Harris, but he followed up a few minutes later with an expression of support. If endorsed by the Democrats, Harris would become the first black woman to run at the top of a major party ticket in the country's history. Now, for this conversation, we're being joined by an astute journalist and foreign affairs analyst, Habeeb Aruna. He will also discuss what to expect going into the November presidential election and how Biden's pullout will change the dynamics of the exercise. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for being here.
Good afternoon.
Great to have you. Now, with this withdrawal, it looks like it's more or less paved the way for the Vice President Kamala Harris to possibly make history. What do you think this could mean for her? Do you think she could actually become the next president of the United States if she is the candidate?
Yeah, the road is not clear yet for Kamala Harris.
Of course.
Because the most important personality, the most influential figure in the Democratic Party, former President Barack Obama, is yet to fully endorse her for the race. Obama only praised Biden for exiting the race. He did not come out explicitly to back Harris. So there is still some hurdles to be crossed by Kamala Harris. But she has the upper hand. Major or top leaders in the party have endorsed Kamala Harris. So she has the upper hand. But the leaders are also expecting to have a robust debate, to have a robust convention where Kamala Harris will be elected by the delegates. They don't want Kamala Harris to be anointed. They are looking for a situation whereby the atmosphere will be cordial enough for the delegates, to elect him, not endorsing, to elect her, not endorsing her, but so that she will be prepared to face Biden. I'm not, however, comfortable with your opening remarks, sagacity of Biden. Of Donald Trump. Donald Trump is not sagacious. So Donald Trump is rambunctious. It's not decent. Look at the way he described Kamala Harris 2 days ago. Crazy woman. That is not a decent statement to make by a former U.S. president. So
I'd like to hang on while you're on that line of speech, if you allow me to just interject, because President Trump became a case study when in his campaign that brought him to power because of the way he conducted the election. It created cult personality around him as a candidate and whipped up a lot of sentiment, is how a lot of people feel he was able to get that ticket. Now, with the events that have just transpired, just the past 2 weeks alone, we've had an attempted assassination, which portrayed him ultimately as a heroic figure to many people, including people like Mark Zuckerberg, who've come out to say it's difficult not to look at that moment and not feel like he was a hero. Then you now have a Joe Biden who's also being portrayed as a hero because he's done the ultimate sacrifice of stepping down for the sake of democracy. So in this war of sentiments, which of these sentiments do you think will prevail? Will it be an election of sentiment or will it be an election based off of policy?
Not a fine question. But you see, American politics is full of intrigues. The first U.S. president, George Washington, because of George Washington's personality, there was no any term limit in the U.S. Constitution. Even to today, it's a thing of convention. There's no time limit. 1 term, 2 terms, they're just conventional. Because of his person and his character, George Washington, after 2 terms in office, hesitated. He addressed the nation that I'm not contesting, I'm no longer contesting. So it became a principle, working principle for successive U.S. candidates and presidents to follow the example of that statesman, a major statesman, George Washington. But you see, to your question, the attempt on Trump obviously made him a hero, specifically to members of his party, the GOP, made him a hero. Independent voters, who are people that decide election in America, were not too swayed, by that. Then then the pressure became intense, on Biden to exit the race because of what he did during the debate. People now see Trump as somebody that is going to win, with a lackluster Biden, old person that is not assertive enough, not articulate enough to inspire voters, to inspire his party members. So that was what happened before yesterday when Biden exited the race. So it changed the thing. It's changed completely. The dynamics changed in favor of the race is now open because the Democrats are energized. The party has been animated. So people now believe that yes, you are saying that this man is old, but you are now old. You are older. Kamala Harris is 59. In young, very, very, very. She has the history. She was a DA in California. She became Attorney General, became a senator, and picked by Biden to be his running mate in 2020. So she has the credentials, But U.S. politics, as I said, is full of intrigues. I was telling my friends when pressure was mounting on Biden, and to type, Trump was making a lot of noise, unnecessarily loquacious, that the U.S. politics has a way of reinventing itself. That was what we saw yesterday when Biden left the race. You can imagine the most powerful man on earth. He has everything to say, no, I'm not going. But Biden has an enviable record of service and character. He's a decent man. What he did yesterday was not totally surprised to many people.
Okay, like that point you made, the U.S. politics has a way of reinventing itself.
Yes.
Earlier on, we also saw the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu say that whoever emerges the president, Israel will remain an ally. But I'd like to take this conversation to, based on this withdrawal, what specific policy areas do you think might see significant shifts when it comes to international relations as regards Nigeria and possibly other African countries with this gesture that was made by President Biden?
It's very easy for us to make a comparison between what happened yesterday in America and the politics of third world, particularly Africa. It's something that we should learn from. It's a big lesson. Coming in the wake of the last elections in Britain, we saw democracy at its best. In the U.S. election, Biden leaving the race for the sake of his country, for the sake of democracy, and for the sake of his party. That's a major example for all of us to learn from. But the two parties, to your question, the two parties, GOP and Democratic Party, they have different way of looking at things, totally. You now have a man that is very predictable, Donald Trump, at the head of the party ticket. If Trump wins, there's going to be a dramatic change in U.S. politics, in U.S. foreign relations, particularly as it relates to relations with Africa and third world. The Democratic Party candidate is always very amenable to relationship with Africa and third world. But the GOP, their policies is always very, very inimical to our interest. The issue of not giving us visa, deporting immigrants, people that don't have papers, all those things. They're not something that we look up to. So Nigerians particularly, we prefer implicitly to implicitly.
Why did you go like this?
To have a president and the Oval Office is from the Democratic Party. That is my opinion.
Okay, I'm going to get onto that. Before I do so, I just want to correct you because the 22nd Amendment of the United States Constitution actually does prefer for term limits, which is two term limits. So that was finalized in 1951. So the Constitution does prescribe for 2 terms. I just wanted to clarify.
Explicit?
That. Yes.
Okay.
It was an amendment. So I just wanted to clarify that.
It was not there at the beginning.
No, it was not there at the beginning. It was later amended. Good. Yes. Now, you've now totally thrown out my line of questioning because I want to piggyback off of what you're saying with us as Nigerians or Africans preferring a Democrat ticket in the presidency. I look back at the Barack Obama presidency and the events that transpired in Libya with the elimination of Muammar Gaddafi, which then created this insecurity problem we currently experience in this country and in this region because, of course, we now had extremism coming in from Libya and it has now come down into the Sahel. Is a Democrat ticket really what we need, given the precedent of what Barack Obama did?
Do not use an instance, a particular reference, to generalize. There are many instances that Obama has done a lot, did a lot for Africa. Coming to Africa with his family, visited Ghana, later at the tail end of his administration, he went to Kenya, the birthplace of his father. So we cannot use really that instance. Yeah, it's a dark spot. It's not something that we should use to generalize. But if you look at it in totality, right, the GOP is made of hawks.
Okay, but the
Democrats
Democrats opened
really
the door to
believe
terrorism.
Pardon?
The Democrats opened the door to terrorism in West Africa.
Open what?
Opened the door to the terrorism that we...
No, not necessarily. They did not. There are times you take an action that you don't really know the impact and the consequences of your actions. That's debatable. That's debatable anyway. But I'm an Obama fan. So I won't really go along with him in that line of thought. But I believe that U.S. politics is based on their national interest. About their national interest. There is nothing that Obama would have done at that point in time. He and Clinton, they were hell-bent, the Western world were hell-bent in removing Gaddafi, who they see as a stumbling block to achieving the objectives in the region and sub-region. So nothing will stop them.
Well, nothing could stop them. And before now, we'll have to put a stop to this interview. But we'd like to thank you for taking the time to come here and sharing your insight with us, Mr. Habeeb Aruna, astute journalist and foreign affairs analyst. Thank you so much for joining us here.
My pleasure.
Wednesday.
Always.